This is an end range shoulder flexion lift-off exercise. So what we're really working on is the ability to get our arms overhead and own that range of motion. A lot of people will struggle with the end range position, that overhead position. They'll have lots of flexibility, like somebody can push their arms up, but not a lot of strength or mobility, and that's what this exercise is gonna work on. When we struggle to get our arms overhead and we don't have that mobility, a lot of times we will use our spines, so this can help make your shoulders work better as shoulders and less as spines. There's a few ways to do this exercise, so I will show you. We can do them with both arms together or one arm at a time, but ultimately what we are going to do is lay on your stomach. And I have a hat on, so my head's not gonna be flat, but if you want to put a towel or a rag on your forehead so you can breathe, you can do that, but you want your head down as much as possible to relax your neck muscles from helping. Then we're going to put our arms directly overhead. So we want elbows locked, and the position that you choose just needs to be consistent during your training sessions. So the closer together, the more challenging it will be. The wider, a little bit easier it will be because your tissues won't be on stretch as much. Now, if you feel pinching in the shoulders on the top or the front, then we want to go wider. If you still feel them, this is too challenging, it's not right for you. Now from here, the actual movement is going to look like contracting the tops of your shoulders, lifting and holding for 3 to 5 seconds, and parachuting down. Again, resetting, contracting, floating those arms up, holding, parachuting down. Now this is going to be the starting position. If you can clear your hands up quite a bit, there's 2 things you can do. One, tuck just a little bit. So notice how I'm rounding my back a little so that my back doesn't help, and then try it again. If you can still clear a lot and it is not challenging and you're pretty close together, then we can make it more challenging by elevating your arms into more of your flexibility position. Now you still want your chest and head on the ground, lock the elbows, and then lift. And then parachute down. So again, the higher you go, the harder it will be, but we still want to keep our chest and head down. Otherwise, we are really not making it into the progressed position. So common compensations for this are going to be, number 1, when they lift, bending the elbows or lifting and arching the back. We want to tuck the pelvis a little bit and keep that core where it needs to be. So you don't need to over-engage and squeeze, but we don't want to be losing that position. So you want a light brace in your abdomen, a light intra-abdominal pressure creation. And then when you go to lift, the only thing moving should be your shoulder. Your elbow should be locked, and we should not be rotating and bending and compensating. And we also should not feel like we are loading the neck a ton either. Now, the other ways we can do this are one arm at a time, where we can just do the single arm here, or we can go into a lumbar locked position and come into it from this position as well. This is going to be challenging and it will limit your spine from helping you. So if you're somebody who feels your back working a lot in the other position, then you might want to go to this position instead. You can do one, or we can do both from here as well if your forehead is into the ground. Again, the higher up the position of the yoga blocks, the more challenging. You should pick a position that is so challenging you can barely do it without compensating. But if you are not able to do it at all and you compensate, then you can drop it a little bit. But we want your arms to only really get off about 1 inch of the yoga blocks or the ground, and if they can clear a lot more than that, then you might be ready to try the new position that is a little progressed. Over time, your goal isn't necessarily to add time in reps. It might be initially, but really what we're looking for is to progress the position, because the point of this exercise is to gain more of your active range of motion or more of your passive range of motion and make it active to build your strength and overall mobility of the overhead position. So as you're practicing this consistently, try to progress over time. Know that it takes a long time to make progress with these, but over time you should see that you are having a lot more overhead mobility gains.